Wake up, motherfucker.
Always going to speak much better than he can.
Yo, what's up? What's up, guys? Hold up. Yeah, I'm just watching the show that's going on in parallel. No, this is not John. Go to the other show. John's on the other show. What's up, 12th man? Your Seahawks won. I mean, I don't know who the hell would bet on the a lot of angry folks on that other goddamn show. Holy shit. Did they bet on the Patriots or something? Come on. Seahawks was gonna win that. So this whole show is about the Seahawks, I guess. Since it's a finance show, I'm gonna go into the finances of the NFL a little bit because this is gonna be an interesting year. We're gonna have World Cup this year too, right? So I'm gonna put into words here about how you look at the money, where the money's flowing, right? Advertising money makes the bulk of things. So let me see. StreamYard's sucking up all my memory. You know, I guess I have to buy a new laptop. Holy shit, wasting my goddamn time. Because 8 gigabytes doesn't cut it in this world anymore. StreamYards takes up too much memory. Everything takes up too much memory. Efficient code anymore. Yeah, all this stuff. So yeah, you know, I've been delaying it. I heard Windows 11 was a piece of trash, so that's one of the reasons I didn't didn't get it in Black Friday. I didn't want that thing installed with that shit. Hopefully they fix their bugs, so by the time I do buy a new laptop, it won't be jacked up. But yeah, it looks like Windows 11 is going to be a Windows Vista or something. Heard all kinds of bad things. Like people updated their stuff. One of the updates like made their computer not even be able to turn on. That's pretty bad. Like you can't even turn on your computer after an update. Like how did that even pass through verification process? I have no clue. Okay, guys. Let me get to the thing here. Let's do it quickly. Hopefully I can get through this without any issues. Okay. Huh. Okay. No, I don't want to show that yet. Yeah, I wanted to come in the morning, but you know, it didn't look like the Bears were gonna do anything. So it's like, well, let the Bulls have another day. So boring, pretty much, only going in one direction. It's not gonna be a dual direction day. If you look at Bitcoin and MSTR, it's still the weakest. Like when the Nasdaq picked up momentum, you see how Bitcoin really has a hard time following it. So we're still in that mode where the next time the Nasdaq takes a beating, yeah, you got to short MSTR again. Will go down the fastest, then MSTR will go down even faster. So when we're ready to short the Nasdaq again, this is where you want to be, because I think the next time we move down, that's it. Lights are out. We're gonna easily break through a lot of resistances, but not yet. Not yet. We gotta let this percolate a little bit, because the earnings this week are not going to be important. We already had our Japanese elections, so the parliament is firmly in the majority party's hands. That's what the market expected. So the market is just like, okay, that's what we expected. That's what we got. So nobody is willing to change their position so far. I do see weakness in the yen. I do see the Japanese bonds go up very high. Like, that means the bond prices are going down, but the yields are going up for Japanese bonds. So in that sense, silver got saved pretty nicely. So silver is still in this range. I think we're going to be in this range for a bit longer, which is good news, because there's a chance that as long as silver goes sideways for the next several months, maybe even into the end of the year. Silver and gold will resume their move up next year. Okay, so anybody waiting for silver and gold, you should be happy with the results so far. However, when we get our new Fed chair in May, that may change things a little bit. So I still think it's just going to go zigzag, 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 zigzag into May, June, and July. And then after July, watch August, September, October for your way in. And then, so anybody looking for a longer term move up, that's where I would look for it. But for now, this is just a trading range. There's nothing interesting that's going to happen here. If you're just buying it to go long, you have time to wait. I rather would focus my money on other materials like steel, like aluminum, and energy like uranium and oil. So as long as we go sideways, I'm not worried about those other commodities, right? So that's good news. Okay, so we can start looking at those other stocks while we wait. So there's no point in jumping in. If you look at the miners, you see we're in a range, which is good. And the range is tight. It's not like expanding. We're not going like wild where we just go up further and then drop even harder back down. So as long as we stay around this pink zone, we're good. We're good. Keep it boring. Boring is good news. Okay. Keep it boring. Keep it uninteresting. I don't want to see expansion of volatility. What's up, Gobbledygook? What's up, Eric W? What's up, Crown Reese? What's up? Galt ranting on yeah. We'll get to the race stuff since I'm multi-streaming. Okay, you want race stuff? We'll talk about race stuff like later. Anyway, like last week I mentioned Roblox. The day before earnings, I said I think it's going to be a situation where bad news is not as bad and it's going to pump. And Friday, it pumped. Maybe it was just because of the earnings. I mean, not the earnings, the way the market was moving, but you can see people were ready to sell off. Like you could see at the morning. So it did not follow the market for the first 15 or so minutes. But then it started following. People were buying. And then what's up today? It's up 11% today. So that's what I thought. And I told you on Friday that I think if you want to trade this stock, it's going to go up to 100. So from 60 something to 100 is feasible. I think it's on its way towards there. Now, the caveat is if the Nasdaq and S&P go back down and it drags everyone down with it, because all boats will rise and fall with the tides. Okay, so you can kind of think of the S&P 500 as your tide of the oceans. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you have a big boat or small boat, it's going to be affected. We just landed right here, right to the top here, 695. Okay, on the SPY. So we're above the 690 area, which means like things are safe. When you go back below 690, it's not hard for it to go back to 678, back to this green line. Not hard at all. So bulls would want to keep this going. And the reason we can do that, like the SPY can still stay this way, is because most people are hiding out in industrial sectors, material sectors, and transport sectors. So truckers. So if you're a trucker, your stock should be doing quite well. Transportation stocks. Okay, so we can look at one of them, SAIA. Still doing good. Okay, it's down 2% right now, but so far it's been doing good going up into earnings. So we'll have earnings tomorrow morning. So I'm interested to see how this reacts to it. All right. So watch for that stock tomorrow. We'll see. SAIA. Anything else to mention? No, we'll go back to this stuff later in the week. And after I read all these articles. I have to read all these articles first. Let's see what else. Roblox. Let's see. Do I want to talk about Enphase? How's Enphase doing? Okay, nothing's going on with Enphase. We'll talk about it some other time this week then, if anything's interesting. Okay, Palantir. So, Palantir. Now, you would be asking me, well, is it the time to short this again or not? Mm, Based on how it reacted this morning, you can see in the 3-minute chart, it tried to get pushed down, but it did not go lower than this here. So you can see Palantir stayed mostly around 135, and the last low before the close on Friday was 134.50. It tried getting close to there, but bounced immediately. And then if you look at the IGV software sector, it's kind of like what I said. I said I think the software side of things has been punished quite a bit. It's already down over 20 something percent from its last high in September, October. So it's already in a bear market. We have a lot of earnings coming up this week. And for me, it's kind of like roadblocks. You guys have already been punished. All you have to do is say that things are not as bad as expected, and you should be able to go up because there's way too many people shorting last minute into Thursday. And those guys who are still short and hoping that the market will continue down, they might get blown up easily. So I'm not willing to bet in any direction this week. I could easily see the S&P 500 fly high. Okay? And it'll trap more people on Friday because if you look at semiconductors, look at that. We're right back above this yellow zone. So we're safe. We are safe for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is pretty safe right now. So people who were shorting with me last week, it's over. Okay. There's nothing to do no more. It's time to chill out, wait, and see what's going to happen. Don't be aggressive and go like, oh, yeah, I'm going to short again. I'm going to short again. Guess what? I think everyone's probably thinking the same thing, and they're probably all going to get wiped out, okay, this week. So what's the better thing to do? Look at more oil stocks. So we're going to start looking at more boomer things. So I told you last week, oil is my favorite. I think what DJ MFB said, if I had 20,000 and I could only buy one thing, what would I buy? And I told him, well, only one thing, then just buy UwU. Leverage, oil, ETF. So 3 times leverage. I think oil will continue going up into the rest of the year. This is a no-brainer. Turn off your brain. If you want something to go long and you don't have to think about it, just buy oil. Oil, 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 oil. Okay, and that's it. Pretty easy. I think UwU will be the SOX L of last year. And SOX L was basically like the Palantir of 2 years ago. When you guys heard me tell you guys to buy it in 2024, by the time 2025 hit, it was done in August pretty much. That was the first significant high we made, and then we started going sideways before this breakdown. And now I'm telling you, Palantir looks like a short, right? Now, when will it complete this whole structure? Because now it looks like this. We have a structure from 123 to 200. This looks like a top. This looks like a top. Okay, so we just need one more push down through into 124, and that's it. Lights out. This thing will probably go back down to $30 or something, and you'll make money in both directions. So I told you to buy Palantir in 2024 at $20. You probably should have been starting to sell it once it got above like 120 to 200, and now we're back to hanging around 120 again pretty soon. And at that point, it's time to get aggressive in the short and see you back at 71. And then after 71 breaks, see you back at like 30 or something, 20. I don't know. Once 71 breaks, who knows where it's going to go. It really could just go back to 20 very easily. So that's it. I want to set it and forget it. Yeah, oil. That's it. If you want set it and forget it thinking, oil is the way to be. That's where it's at. And we talked about one stock because I saw oil servicing companies like refineries do very well, and I said like, well, which one is the most popular refiner? Marathon Petroleum. And I guess it did have earnings last week and I didn't pay attention, but this guy was already up. So we are already doing well in this sector. So let's find some more stocks this week, up 15%. So I'm going to try to find more stocks like this, put it in your portfolio too. We can continue because I think this is going to make new highs pretty soon. If you look at the monthly chart, this is very good look. This is a very good look. We had a test at April. We went up. We're testing the last highs made in 2 years ago, April. So this is April 2024. So we went back down into April 2025, moved back up, and we're going to break that resistance. Guess what? We have no history above there. So Marathon doesn't have any history, which is good. This thing could probably fly up for quite a while as it tries to discover new prices. So we might get up to $300, $400 a share. Who knows, right? If people like, you have to understand, oil stocks are a small percentage of the S&P 500. Most of the people are stuck in the big 7 tech companies: Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, right? Meta, Facebook, basically. And so if you look at those, right, Microsoft is already taking a beating. Amazon is taking a beating. So if these things break down even further, people are just going to be going, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. I want to take some of these shares and go somewhere else. They're not going to sell everything at once, you know. So these latecomers who are starting to sell, like a few shares of Microsoft, right, takes away a lot of market cap from Microsoft, because that amount of money, the same amount of money going into Marathon, is going to affect it a lot more, because $1 billion off of Microsoft going into Marathon means it's way easier to pump a stock like Marathon up far away from 200. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the rotations. And since oil companies are boring, Zoomers don't like boring stuff. Well, then they're going to be looking at it. Hey, hold up. These boring stocks are starting to rally. They're going to chase it. And that's kind of like what happened with silver and crypto, right? Like, they see this, they're like, wait, hold on. I thought crypto was supposed to act like this. Well, that's why they started chasing into silver last minute. So most of December and January, you started getting this bubble because they started chasing that way too late. You should have been in here. So we want to be in places where it's boring, where it still looks a bit boring, and then get out when it starts getting exciting. That's where you want to be. So we have to position ourselves. I believe oil is still underappreciated, still, even though like it's the best performing sector of January. It still looks terrible, you know, compared to like tech companies. People still love that AI, but you need energy to turn on those data centers, right? Where are you going to get the energy? Only 2 places, essentially: oil slash natural gas. Oil and natural gas, I combine them together, and then uranium. So uranium will be like that kind of secret play where, okay, is uranium going to continue up? Okay, so it did well in January, right? So it kind of has that commodity slash energy makeup. So these things you have to look at. We'll have to look at. Okay, that's it for that. Anything else? Okay, let me look at Under Armour. Retail clothing, I think that sector has done well. I'm not sure if Under Armour is one of those, though. So it had earnings on Friday. Looks like it's trying to break out, but the chart looks pretty ugly. But I'll watch it just in case. I don't know. We're in the starting a recession pretty soon, so I'm not sure if this can last. Like, I told you about ELF, so the makeup cosmetic stock, it's down like 8% today. So I told you this is a top. So you look at that monthly chart, looks like a top. Yeah, this thing is just gonna, man, this thing's gonna puke. I think this thing is gonna puke. This is not a good look. This is not a good look at all. Okay, so you look at that. So if you want to short a stock, this is probably another thing you could probably add to the list of things you want to short in the coming months, because I have a bad feeling it's gonna have a hard time getting towards 100. And if it does somehow manage to get back up to 100, that's probably where you short it. Okay, you short it at 100, hoping that it crashes down to 20. That's probably what I would be thinking about this stock. I have no idea why it's down today, but it doesn't matter. Just get the chart. If earnings did not make it take and hold 100 on Thursday, Friday, no, forget it. Forget it, man. All right. Okay, anything else? Okay, Toyota. Let me see Toyota. TM. Okay, Toyota's been doing good still. All right, so after earnings on Friday, yeah. So it has 3 months of green candles. Okay, okay. I think Japanese stocks by themselves are going to do well anyhow with the new prime minister winning a lot of the parliamentary seats. Japanese stocks like Toyota probably will be important. So gonna put that on the list of something to go long on. Let's see. And AutoNation. Guess not much of a reaction. So no clue here. Too bad. So nothing. So not actionable. Nothing here. Okay. And then we have a biotech company. I think this one did well in earnings. So I do like the biotech sector. So maybe this one I might start looking at more carefully. Okay. So we're still here trying to fight this level at 195. Okay, I'll watch it. I'll watch it. If this thing pulls back down to 156, 57, 150-ish and holds it, then I'll look at it even more. Okay. But we have to see if the biotechs make it out. I think biotechs, yeah, it's still flat. It hasn't decided what it wants to do. There's a possibility we could go down with the rest of the Nasdaq anyway. If the Nasdaq decides to move down, there'll be a better place to buy that stock. So I'll watch that one. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of things to look at. Okay, someone mentioned CLF. So this steel company, and I told him, you know what? I hate this steel company because the CEO overpromises, underdelivers. Overpromises, underdelivers. Guess what happened today? We went down. And it's still down 17%. I guess you could have bought it in the morning. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. There are way better steel companies than this one. This thing just sucks. So let's say it goes back down. It could go back down 8%. No, this thing sucks. There's no direction to it. It doesn't know where it wants to be. I guess you could day trade it, but I'm not gonna waste my time. Yeah, this thing's ugly. This chart has no direction, no sense to it. Nobody knows where it wants to be, so forget it. If you want to steel companies, NUE, see this one, much better looking chart. It has a direction, has a shape, has a trend. The other one is Steel Dynamics, STLD. See, has a direction, has a trend. CLF sucks, so I wouldn't bother looking at that one. Anything else? Monday. Okay, Monday is one of the software companies. It went down, but it had no effect with Palantir or any other software company, so it got ignored. So we'll have to wait and see if the other software companies have any effect on it. That's what I think. I don't think they will have any effect on anything. So I don't expect much movement from the Nasdaq this week. Unless Cisco Systems on Thursday, I think is when it reports earnings, or Wednesday does something crazy. I don't think anything's going to happen. I think everybody's just going to chill out and be calm. And we have a 3-day weekend. Remember, President's Day next week. And you have like Lunar New Year, so the Chinese markets will be closed for that week as well, starting President's Day. So we'll have less things to affect the markets. On semiconductors reports after the close, I think that's only one semiconductor stock. I don't think it'll be a big influence. And one other thing to mention. So ON is a semiconductor stock, and GT, so Goodyear tire. Tire companies have done well the past quarter. So this might be something that you might invest in. I don't know. But it has to break these long-term downtrends. So if earnings for Goodyear tire just does well, then yeah, go for tire stocks. Maybe it'll go from 10 back up to $24. That's not bad for pieces of rubber, right? So something to look at as well. I mean, if people are not buying tech companies, where are they putting their money? They'll hunt for places to hide their money in, and that's one place to go into while they wait if the Nasdaq is going down. Okay? All right. Okay. All right, I'm done with that. Done with the chart. Oh, wait a minute. Let me say one more thing about the Nasdaq, I think. One more thing before I forget. So the S&P I showed was right back at the high. The Nasdaq, even though semiconductors is doing pretty well, still below this yellow range. So it's still below $616.41. If we drop back below 611 sometime this week, watch if it can hold 607. If you start seeing a huge red candle in the morning, break this level, and then the rest of the day it just stays stuck here and starts rolling over back down, then I would say the bears are taking over. And then if the S&P 500, the SPY goes down 690, then yeah, you are not going to be a happy camper if you're a bull. That means there's a good chance on going into next week, I guess, the bears will take it back. Okay. The only thing the bulls will be happy about is if this gets back above the yellow area straight into 624, keeps the S&P going up a bit higher, and then you can hold off any attacks into next week, then you'll be fine. Because like I said, the Chinese market is closed next week. You have a big 3-day weekend. Unless Trump says something, unless Iran pops off, I have no clue, then you're safe. You're safe into next week. Next week should be even quieter. Okay? There's going to be no big earnings next week for sure. We have to wait until NVIDIA. So that's 2 weeks away. You got lots of time to chill out and and be a bull. So if anybody's looking for day trades, no, as long as we're in this calm thing, I'm not day trading nothing. Okay. There's nothing to day trade, nothing important. I have to see a lot more volatility for me to care about doing that. Otherwise, you're in a range. Yeah. Gold's in a range, silver's in a range. And then the only thing people are going to be interested in is trying to find where to put their money in. That's going to be oil and gas and industry, right? Industrials like Caterpillar. Caterpillar will be something we'll discuss later on. And GE, General Electric, Vernova, okay? Those things. So Caterpillar is doing nice, up 1.34%. It was up Friday, pretty nicely, recovered this loss. I think it's going to break out pretty rapidly. It's been in a good trend. It's still holding its trend. It's one of the few stocks that are holding its trend. I actually saw on 4chan people were complaining about Lumentum. They were like, man, how come these boomer stocks are doing so well? I thought crypto was supposed to do well. See, I'm telling you, a lot of people are getting impatient. If they keep seeing Bitcoin getting stuck, they're going to start looking outside of Bitcoin to park their money, right? And they're going to be going like, how come my boomer parents who have portfolios stacked with something boring like Lumentum go up 140% in the past month or 2 months. So that's going to be put in question, right? Silver, Lumentum. Why are these boomer things going up? Why are my things, my supposedly next generation things, not going up? So impatience is your friend because that means they can pump, pump, pump even further. All right. Let me see what else. There's one more thing I probably want to talk about. Like, let me look back at the Palantir. Make sure you guys know that for the 78-minute chart, you see these two parallel lines going down. For the bulls, they need to hold this level at 136. So that means Palantir can at least make a range here before continuing on up to 162. That's what you want to see as a bull. As a bear, you want to see this thing completely get wiped out immediately in the coming days. So if the earnings for software are bad, then this thing should easily drop back below 134 towards 125. And that's what you want to see. So the next coming earnings with software companies, you want to see that. If none of these things happen, then the bulls will easily just hold this level and try to work its way up into next week. That's what's going to happen. MSTR, let's review that again. So you see this is a lot better. You see things are curving. The 18 moving average for 78 minutes curving. It's already above the 40-minute, moving average of 78 minutes. And so it looks a lot better than Palantir. Okay. And then if you look at Bitcoin itself, it's still going sideways. And I told you guys last week that once it made this bottom into Friday, I said, I bet you it's just going to stay in this pink area. I think it's going to have a hard time getting to 80 until it completes this pink zigzag. So I think Bitcoin may go down very hard on any weakness of the NASDAQ. Remember, the NASDAQ doesn't need to break down hard. But if there's any day this week where the NASDAQ does go down, this thing will sink immediately down towards 64,000. And what's going to happen is if the NASDAQ holds and then starts working its way up, this is where you would probably want to go long for a trade in Bitcoin, because I bet that the next time it goes down here will be the second and last time it hits this level before making an attempt at 80,000 next week. So if I think Bitcoin is going to survive for the rest of the month, then there's going to be a potential trade between 64,000 and 80,000 on the next time it makes a trip down to 64. Okay, that's it. That's a trade potential right there. So you can watch MSTR, you can go short, and then you can try to go long again. So MSTR will probably try to go here. It'll cut through 120, go through this candle, trick people. It'll make all the shorts get happy again, get trapped, because it won't hit 108, and it will bounce right back up and fly towards 160. And that's where you want to be. No, 80 next week, I don't know. It's possible. The Chinese market is closed. People are bored. Yeah, it's possible. But at least 2 weeks away. So 2 weeks away, it'll get back up to 80. And then at 80, you short again, and then short Bitcoin back towards 60,000. Okay, because we're in a big trading range. That's all we are. So that's what you'll have to, if you're willing to trade anyway. I mean, that's up to you guys. I'm not gonna force anyone to like do what I say, but I would be looking for that, because if it sets up like that, there's a big chance that you can have a very good trade in both directions on MSTR in the coming 2 weeks, if that occurs. All right, that's it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be boring and look at oil stocks and gas stocks and industry stocks and transportation stocks. So boring stuff for people, because I'm just going to set up my portfolio, buy it and hold type stuff next 2 weeks. So we're going to start going over all kinds of little stocks to buy and hold for the coming year. not something you just trade. But for people that want to trade, that's what I'm looking for in Bitcoin. Okay. And as far as gold, I think we're trapped in a little tight area, which means that it's very hard to trade that up and down every day because it's so volatile, and a lot of it requires you to pay attention to overnight, which I don't think a lot of you guys will do. A lot of you guys don't even trade futures, so probably not worth it to talk about that anymore. Okay, that's it. We're done with that. Okay. Let's look at the Japanese yields before I close this out. You can see Japanese yields up 2.7% after the elections. Very, very high. This would be very good for silver and gold people. The Chinese yuan has depreciated after the elections. So I'm curious to see what kind of new legislation the ruling party will come up with. Will they try to change the constitution of Japan? Will Japan become more militaristic? And then if they do, then guess what? I'm going to watch what the Chinese will try to do with their currency, because they need to buy up more materials if they're going to get ready for war. That means copper will go up, steel, aluminum, nickel. So those places we are going to look at, because if war is coming in Asia and they will prepare for that war in the next 5 years, then that's where you want to be in the next 5 years, is to buy and load up on materials. Okay, let's see, anything else? Dollar is down, okay, with the with the strengthening of the yen, so nothing new there. We'll have to wait for the new Fed chair and all that other stuff to figure that one out. Okay, done with that. So that gives you an overview after the Japanese elections. That's it. But yeah, silver people, gold people, you're safe. Yeah, you're safe. Okay, nothing to worry about now. The only problem is it's going to be boring, though. It's not going to go anywhere. If you think it's just going to bounce back and continue its rise, no, that's not happening. It'll probably happen 6 months down the line. Okay. And since it's boring, you might as well go somewhere else, right? Why don't you buy some aluminum? Okay, let's go here. So I've been working on a little bit more DeMark stuff, practicing, looking at the 40-minute chart of Bitcoin because it's the most interesting. And so I'm trying to learn how to use these things better. And if you can see, there's no direction. Like, we're about to complete a 9 count pretty soon, shortly after I'm done with talking to you guys. And so we went up 9, we went down 9. We're probably going to go up 9. No direction. It tried really hard to make up some 9 counts going up during the overnight session and whatever, but it looks like we're stuck here. So that's why I'm going to say that there's a potential that Bitcoin will crash very easily if the NASDAQ somehow goes down on earnings in the next 3 days. And if that happens, look for a long, okay? Or if you want to, look for a short and then look for a long. And then we're on the road to 80,000 next week, or maybe 2 weeks down the line. And then after it hits 80,000, we can start selling. The first target will be 75, okay, up on this red level. And then after that, we'll go up to 78, okay? And then after that, 82. Those will be the next levels if this holds. So I'll update you guys on that. And I'll be learning how to use these DeMark indicators more and more. And then this will be a good practice to test these things out. Okay. So you can see here, let me get rid of a lot of this stuff here. Let me just focus in. So I'm just highlighting the D wave here. You look at the bottom. Okay. Let me just get rid of this stuff. All right. That's probably too much. Okay, let's get rid of all that noise and let's just focus on the D wave. So you had the C5, this bar here made a significant low overnight. Well, not really overnight. It was just like 3 hours after the close during Amazon's earnings. And then we get 1, 2, 3, 4. If this 4 holds, then we're ready to go to a 5 count. If we get to a 5 count, that means that 5 count can go all the way up to 80,000. but I need to see back-to-back nines. So far, I haven't seen any back-to-back nines. What have I seen? I've seen everything go 1-9 up, 1-9 count up, 1-9 down, potentially 1-9 up. If it's another 9 down, then that's going to cancel this 4 probably, and then it's going to go back down to 64. Okay, if I start seeing that, then yeah, we're going to 64 first. We're going back down to 64 first, maybe even go back to 60. And that's when I would go long for the real ride up to 80. Okay, that's it. But who knows? That might take a while. That might take a while. I hate it when it goes sideways. Sideways is so boring. There's nothing to do there. So that's really an important thing to look at. All right, done with that. Okay, boobs versus butts. All right, why did I bring this up? And I'm going to start putting some background music. Okay, so we're going to read some articles here. Boobs versus butts. Oh, man. All right, 43. Man, this is the problem where you have to talk all the time. Very boring. Okay, boobs versus butts. Why did I bring this up? Well, I talked about like the World Cup a little bit. I mentioned that. And now that the Seahawks have won, let's look at where the Seahawks are going to go. If you look at America here, we are now predominantly looking for butts. We prefer butts over boobs. Now, I think if you guys watch the Urban Landlord channel and other quote-unquote black channels that discuss race, or I'm sure there's other alt-right channels talks about this all the time too. If you have a preference for butts, you probably have a lower IQ than boobs. I don't know. Well, there's other things too, right? With like the reproduction strategy, you have RK strategy and stuff like that. So, okay, you can go look that up too. If you really care, you can go watch. What is that? Ed Dutton. Ed Dutton, I think. Let me find his channel. He has a YouTube channel, but there's not much on there because like YouTube. So he mostly posts his stuff behind paywalls now. So if you care about like IQ and things like that, yeah, you can go to his channel. Okay, yeah, you can search him. Edward Dutton, you can search. I think his channel is called something else, the Jolly Heretic or something. But you can search like, yeah, Edward Dutton. Okay, Edward Dutton, and I think it's the Jolly Heretic. Okay, yeah, you can look at the Jolly Heretic. Right there, Jolly Heretic, at the Jolly Heretic. Okay, now, if we look at boobs versus butts, and America is now firmly in the butt camp, and we look at the states here that care about butts. What does that look like to you? What does that look like to you? Well, you see King TL is like in South Dakota, right? So he should be able to like boobs more than butts, maybe. But it's probably because like there's a lot of immigration in these areas. And so, yeah, we shifted. And this will affect like the NFL. You know, so if we look here, let's read the first article. NFL pushing Seahawks to sell team, reports say. So this has been an ongoing rumor for a while. So Jody Allen, daughter of Paul Allen, one of the founders of Microsoft, okay? Is Jody Allen being pressured to sell the Seahawks by the NFL? That was the allegation in a story in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, which asserted the ownership structure of the Seahawks following the death of Paul Allen in 2018 runs counter to league rules, and the league wants Jody Allen to divest herself of the team as a result. That may have spurred the reports that broke Friday that Allen is expected to put the Seahawks up for sale following the Super Bowl on Sunday against the New England Patriots in Santa Clara, California. The Paul G. Allen Trust released a statement later Friday stating that the Seahawks are not currently for sale. As the Wall Street Journal story recounted, the Seahawks, as well as other Paul Allen-owned assets, were placed in a trust after Paul Allen died in October 2018. The trust is managed by his sister. Oh, his sister. My bad. Guess not his daughter. Who was installed as team chair of the Seahawks. The Seahawks were placed in the trust per the dictates of Paul Allen, who also directed that his assets eventually be sold so that the vast majority of his wealth would be donated. In a statement in 2020, Jody Allen said that the estates of this size and complexity can take up to 10 to 20 years to wind down. There is no preordained timeline by which the teams must be sold. So they also own the Trailblazers. I believe the Trailblazers are in negotiations right now to be sold. So it's already in advanced talks. But as the Wall Street Journal story reported, league rules require that an individual and not an entity such as a trust has to be the controlling owner of the franchise, and that the league is pushing for the Seahawks to get in compliance with their wishes. I believe they got fined $5 million, which is like a slap on the wrist, honestly, for not meeting compliance. So I don't know. These Jody can just keep selling. Keep paying the fines, right? If the NFL can't really pressure them. But after a Super Bowl win, the estimated value of the Seahawks has already went up. I believe there's going to be more pressure to sell, right? The Wall Street Journal reported that the league decided to allow Jody Allen to stay in control of the team through the passing of the time when the trust would have to give 10% of any sale to the state of Washington. That clause was part of a 1997 resolution that helped fund the construction of Lumen Field. That resolution expired in May 2024, though a source has said that it was more logically viewed as expiring the following year because of paperwork and other issues. In terms of it clearing the way for the team to be put up for sale, the passing of those dates, the Wall Street Journal story indicated, has the league feeling that it is now time for Allen to sell the team. The Wall Street Journal story also insinuated that there began to be more pressure put on Allen when she reached an agreement to sell the Portland Trailblazers. There we go. In September of 2025. The Wall Street Journal stated that Allen was viewed as having pushed back against the NFL's reminders that she was supposed to sell the franchise. The story also reported that the league's frustration grew to the point that the NFL issued the Seahawks a $5 million fine, which is nothing. $5 million. It's like a parking ticket to her, right? For being out of compliance with ownership requirements. It's just symbolic. All right, so you can read the rest of this yourself. All right, all the sources I have are linked in the description, so be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel because there's a description there. Kick does not have a description for the streams, so they don't have a section. So next thing I'll do is, what is the racial makeup of Seattle? Okay, so I'm shifting gears a little bit. Seattle continued to grow more racially diverse in 2024, led by a significant increase in the city's Asian population. That means East Asians and South Asians. New census data shows, and if the trend continues, the city will no longer have one majority race within the next decade. The estimated number of Asian people residing in Seattle increased by about 10,600 from 2023, hitting 139,100 in the most recent federal report. Asian people made up nearly 18% of Seattle's population in 2024, up about 1 percentage point from the year prior. Seattle had the fourth highest percentage of Asian residents among the nation's 50 most populous cities, and the four highest are all on the West Coast. San Jose, California was number one at about 42%, followed by San Francisco and Sacramento, California. The share of Seattle residents who are white fell by nearly 2 percentage points from 58.7% in 2023 to 56.9% in 2024. That's a large decline in percentage terms for a single year. Even so, numerically, Seattle's white population was essentially unchanged, estimated at about 444,600 in 2024, only slightly higher than the 443,300 estimate the year before. But at the same time, Seattle's total population jumped from about 755,100 to roughly 781,000, thus shrinking the share of population that is white. Okay, take a screenshot of that. Now, why do I mention this stuff? Why do I mention this stuff? Because there's a point to this. What is the point to this? What's the number of people that watch football, American football? About 100 million. What's the number of people that watch football, soccer? 4 billion. 40 times larger. This year, we will have 11 stadiums in America hosting the World Cup. 3 stadiums in Mexico, 2 stadiums in Canada. This is a test, essentially. This is a test of how popular football is compared to American football. If there's enough so-called non-whites, I assume this will be the perfect time to test the waters and see if it's time to shift stadium requirements from American football to FIFA rules. FIFA has very different rules than American football. They don't allow stadiums to put up like Levi's stadiums like you saw last night. You're not allowed to put the name of a company as your stadium. That's one thing that's going to be gone when we do World Cup. Okay? And they are also changing the turf and all that. So Lumen Stadium, which is the home of the Seahawks, I believe, is one of the stadiums marked for World Cup events. Let me check. Oh, okay. I even have like a whole bunch of articles. The first one that comes up, Seattle Stadium was built to host the World Cup. So it was designed to be able to be flipped. So if they want to push, the only reason the Seahawks still stayed in Seattle was because of Paul Allen. Now, once they lose that ownership, all right, which might be coming in the coming years, we may see a different story. Maybe, football might be not a lucrative business in Seattle much longer. It might be better for a new ownership to come in and take the Seahawks somewhere else. And in that case, we have to look back at the boobs and butts map. So you probably want to hang out where people love boobs versus butts, because the butts are going to want to watch soccer. The boob guys want to watch American football. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. I mean, we're ignoring like the growth in black population, right? I mean, I don't think the black population growth really isn't going to be as strong as like American blacks, like FBAs, right? Fundamental black Americans compared to like what, Somalians and Jamaicans, Haitians, right? So that's going to be a whole nother game. And so, yeah, I think from an advertising standpoint, I'd rather pay money to advertise to World Cup events than the Super Bowl, right? So, but yeah, Wyoming, no thanks. Well, hey, bro, you don't like the Taylor Sheridan stuff? You don't like Yellowstone? Oh, okay, all right. All right, man. Okay. Let's go back here. Oh wait, that's the. I'll go back to talk about stocks about the at the end of the show. We're gonna review the earnings, that stuff. So let me get out of this stuff. Let's see what other articles to read. Let's see. I think this is more of the stuff. You can probably read this yourself. The first article already explained most of it, so this is in the link. This is a pretty good article too. So if you wanna, learn more about the Seahawks and the history of the Paul Allen and all that, and and I guess the trust here. Okay, let me read this section here. Intrigued by Seattle's special ownership structure before these two reports emerged over the weekend, I made a phone call to Greg Bell, who's covered the Seahawks for more than 20 years at the Tacoma News Tribune. It's an odd situation in that we all out here know it's going to be sold. Bell, the winner of 2 Washington State Sports Writers of the Year awards, told Boardroom, "We just don't know when." All right. There was, however, a major sign that a Seahawks sale may be closer than ever before. In September, the estate agreed to sell the Trailblazers to a group led by Tom Dundon, the majority stakeholder of the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes, for $4 billion. While the sale hasn't yet closed, it's expected to become official in the coming months. When Bell last asked a Vulcan spokesperson, so Vulcan is one of those shell companies under the trust of Jody Allen, spokesperson, a couple of years ago when a Seahawks sales should be expected. He was told it would happen within 5 to 10 years, a timeline that may or may not now be accelerated. Adding to the intrigue and uncertainty is that Vulcan, the estate, and Jody Allen rarely speak about the eventual sale and are seldom seen in public. Bell sees her perhaps once or twice a year at the team facility before the season. Jody does not appear at her team's Super Bowl media day on Monday, though certain team owners in the past Super Bowls have made themselves available to answer questions from the press. They keep her pretty secluded because they don't want us to talk to her, he said. I don't know if I've ever seen her in the locker room. They keep her away from us. While Allen's aversion to appearing in public makes it harder to determine when the Seahawks will be sold, her hands-off management style, following her late brother's example, has been an asset to the team on the field. She lets the football people run the football operations. Okay, so that gives you some idea. You got 5 to 10 years. Oh, you want that? You flaming me? I mean, didn't you like that content over the weekend? I didn't expect any content over the weekend. No, I don't need to review that. Didn't Napstar review that? I think you should watch Napstar's stream. He went over it. So you can go ask him about it. I'm not saying nothing. I ain't saying shit, man. This is not my problem. This is a Ruby problem. Has D-Dog contacted? No. I mean, I don't know how he's gonna contact me. I'm very aloof. I'm like Jody Allen. I don't deal with the football. I'll let the football people deal with the football shit. I just deal with the operations side of things. Okay, so anyway, okay, let's see what this article is. Does this article have anything new? This one I have put in the description, so I don't know if this thing has anything new to add to what I've already said. Okay, so I think this is Paul Allen's quote here. Oh shit! I think D Dog got me. Nah, never mind. No, D Dog didn't get me. But anyway, yeah, I had to do something else. Sorry, I had to leave. Anyhow, okay, so let me continue on. I think we were done with that whole Seahawks stuff. I don't think that last article had anything interesting. I didn't see nothing interesting to say. Okay, let's go back to the to the stock stuff. So let me just do that. Okay. Let's look at the major sectors. Blah blah blah. Let me load it up, and then we'll wrap up. So we already hit the hour. So that's pretty much all I had to say anyway. This article here, and then wrap it up by looking at the sectors because this is what we'll do for the rest of the week. I don't think there's anything interesting to trade unless tomorrow we start another downtrend on the Nasdaq. All right, and that's it. And that's it. Because otherwise, there's nothing else to talk about. Because we need to have something to happen first before anything we can talk about. All right, let me get my music back on, and there we go. All right, let's go here. Okay. So Dow theory confirmed. Technology holds critical support. This is talk about SAIA stock tomorrow. Big transportation trucker company. So let's see how that one goes out. But most trucking companies have done quite well the past month or 2 months. There was no doubt in my mind that we were on the brink of a major sell-off. Proportions at the close on Thursday. Right afterwards, Amazon reported its quarterly results, and the stock immediately slumped 10% in after hours. QQQ, the ETF that tracks the large cap technology-driven Nasdaq 100, fell 1% in after hours, and technology select sector XLK fell in similar percentage. The bulls had their backs against the wall. Futures improved overnight on Thursday, and the major indices opened in positive territory. Woo! It was a close call, but the bulls managed to hold serve, and enthusiastic buying took place throughout the trading day on Friday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained over 1,200 points and finished above 50,000 for the first time in history. So if you look at the Dow Jones, it's doing quite well. You know, if you look at the S&P, it's flat. If you look at the Nasdaq, it's flat, slightly down. Okay, so there are sectors that are doing well, but this is the old economy, not the new economy, not the tech stuff. As industrials closed at an all-time high at the same time, Dow Jones Transportation Average approached 20,000, closing at a new all-time high. When the transports confirmed the industrial average, it suggests strong economic conditions that support a further advance in our major indices. This is Charles Dow's theory, the foundation of technical analysis. I believe the Dow Jones and the small cap Russell 2000 could lead the market in 2026. Yeah, we've been talking about small caps, haven't we? Yes, the small caps. At least for a while, both of these indices are just healthier, pure, and simple. XLK is weak and underperforming. That has a much bigger impact on the S&P 500. But even XLK bounced back from potential disaster. Check out the key supports on the XLK and the S&P 500 chart below, and that's thanks to semiconductors. Semiconductors held up. So we're not ready to crash, I guess, yet on semiconductors for now. We tested both into Thursday's close and managed to barely hang on to support. The rally on Friday now gives the bulls some breathing room from these two critical price support levels. We're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination, but it was very important to see the type of rally on Friday. If nothing else, it delayed a potential breakdown and possible trip into a correction. Okay, so that's it. That's what we want to see. Very brief. And yeah, the old theory is that when transportations and industries go together, we have no issue in the economy. That's the Dow theory, okay? That's the old way to look at the economy. So let's look at how the and let's look at 3 months. Okay. So which one of these are doing very well? We have aluminum at 66.6%. over the past 3 months. Non-ferrous metals, 60.2%. Gold mining, 47%. Mining in general, 44.92%. Tires, so Goodyear tomorrow. We will see the earnings, 38.64%. Trucking, SAIA, tomorrow earnings, 37.98%. Steel, we covered a bit. And then we have oil equipment and services, refineries, and then the rest of them, right? So integrated oil and gas right here. Clothing, accessories have done well, so that's probably not a surprise. Under Armour did well on Friday. So these are the things we're going to look at. These are the sectors we want to look at. These top sectors. Let's see if they continue. Okay, so last 3 months. I'm going to look at some specific ones like mortgage finance. So I think these are improving sectors. Rocket Company, I think they do online loans, or some online loan credit servicing. I don't know, something like that. I remember this used to be a popular stock way back when, because it's kind of like a slightly fintech-ish type of company. So it's sort of tech, but in finance, the old school finance with mortgages. So that might be interesting. I might watch that again. But overall, this is an improving area. So more and more of these companies might start improving into this year once interest rates go down. So this is like a potential area that may improve as we go closer into May. Materials, we know, is very good, very strong. And you can see some common names here, and we will look at them. Yeah, lithium definitely is going to be one of the things that we'll look at. And USAR, somebody in chat mentioned USAR, so that's on the list as well, things to look at. So yes, we will look at that. So critical metals, right? Rare earth metals, definitely we'll look at. So this is a list we can look at. So you can slowly look at this, go back to this, and take a screenshot. We'll also look at integrated oil and gas. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of this. We already covered ConocoPhillips, covered Exxon. Those two already had earnings. They did quite well. Okay, trying to improve. We will also start looking at some other outside groups like Brazilian oil and gas. Right here, PBR, not Pabst Blue Ribbon, PBR Petroleo Brasileiro, something like that. And yeah, we'll keep on looking for more. All right, strong performers here. Let's see, anything else? Oil equipment. So these are refineries. All right, a lot of refineries and services. So maybe even oil, natural gas, shipping. Okay. So yeah, Halliburton. I think you remember that one, huh? And Baker Hughes, also a big important company, did well this month. I mean, the past January month. Let's see. We have a shipper right here, TNK. Okay, let's see. Anything else that looks familiar, right? We also mentioned Marathon. I don't know if Marathon's on this list. Doesn't look like it. Let me see. Marathon. Yeah, I guess it's not on this list. So yeah, we'll have to add to these things. These are not comprehensive by any means. This is just what Stock Charts puts on their list. Okay, so we'll have to look in. So, and then we'll have the truckers here. You can see 62% all the way down to 17. So JB Hunt, very very popular one. SAIA will report earnings tomorrow morning. Okay, let's see what else we have. Aluminum. So AA is the stock to watch, but there's also Century Aluminum, which I think is up today. So it's a smaller one. It's a mid-cap one, but yeah, might be a better play than AA Alcoa, but Alcoa is the big boy. Okay, that's the one there. And let's see. And then steel. So this is a small cap. We'll have to ignore this one. This is kind of like a penny stock, but it's up 300%. So, I mean, you guys can look at Lumentum and all that, but yeah, there's definitely some other boring companies that have done quite well. So yeah, a lot more risky too. Vale, yeah, pretty famous one. So VALE, Nucor, Steel Dynamics we covered. Okay, and CLF. Well, even after today, the drop is still okay, but again, there's better. You don't need to buy the weakest ones. So let's look at the aggressive sectors. So which ones have done over the week? Only SMHX, Specialized Semiconductor, Fabless Semiconductor ETF, is up 3.67%. We have the regular semiconductor XSD, and then you have the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index following ETF SOXX is flat. But the rest of it is down. Software 4.93%. Internet communications services 5.22%. We have cloud software 6.4%. So most of the other guys are pretty bad. Okay. One thing we'll look at is the stage analysis stuff here. Stage analysis. So we have four stages. One is the build up, so we go sideways before we start entering stage 2, the move up, and then we have the topping of stage 3 before the downturn of stage 4. The interesting about this website, here I'll put the link on and give it to you in the chat, is that they have a little primitive screener. It's not very advanced, it's primitive, but it's interesting to watch nonetheless. Okay, so we can go into the screener here. All right. And I can look for things that are in stage 2. Let's see, stage 1, stage 2, stage 2. Okay. And it looks like zinc, silver. So that's not a surprise. We have some REITs in industrial. Okay. So real estate specific to industrial properties. Then we have oil and gas, insurance, so property and casualty. So insurance, not medical insurance. A lot of people seem to think medical insurance whenever I say insurance, but insurance companies, when I say they're doing well, I'm talking about like car insurance, home insurance, okay, stuff like that, and reinsurance. Then you have gold, corporate bonds, copper, some banks, all right, and aluminum, some other banks, regional, smaller banks, and oil and gas integrated. So we have that. And then we have some other ones you might know, like uranium and oil refineries, some more REITs here. But for the most part, we see this. So we're going to look for things that are about to move up stronger. Okay, so we have stocks that are less in the stage 2 category that might continue on in the stage 2. So we're going to have to look at this area here to see where they're going. I don't know if like auto parts are going to continue in stage 2. They might be entering stage 3 actually, and stuff like that. And aerospace, defense, same thing. Probably see if they're going to get stronger in the coming days. Lithium, you see that. Beverages, non-alcoholic, so soda. I don't know. I think they might be entering stage 3. I haven't seen much activity in some of the ones I like to look at. Drug manufacturers, yeah, definitely. We were talking about Pfizer and Merck, so there's definitely some that do it. This is an interesting comment. Did you see that Epstein was deep into parapsychology and had a house astrologer? Ooh, I'm very interested in parapsychology, but this is not the show for that. I am not surprised he would be into that stuff, especially if he was doing a lot of magic in his own, you see what he was doing, adrenochrome and all that stuff that Alex Jones was talking about. Not a surprise to me. There is a quote. Let me see. Astronomy. The famous quote. OG is for billionaires. Let me see. I think it was J.P. Morgan. Millionaires don't use astrology. Billionaires do. And this was a quote by J.P. Morgan. Okay, so yeah, it is important to know these things. And that's why in this show, I talk something about like cycles. And I know some people, they look at that, they're like, oh, looking at cycles, that's just so woo-woo, that's magic. Well, guess what? this is the year of the fire horse in Chinese astrology. The last time we had a year of the fire horse was in 1966. This was Super Bowl 60. The first Super Bowl was in 1967. The first time we had an integrated league of NFL and AFL was 1966. In 1966, okay, in a previous stream, I talked about a lot of similarities between 1966 and 2026. A lot of similarities between the battle of full unemployment versus restrictive fiscal policy. So there's a fight between the Fed and the president. I mean, I don't know if they had a Fed. Yeah, they had a Fed then. Yeah, they already had a Fed. Woodrow Wilson started the Federal Reserve, and also between Main Street and Wall Street. So there's a lot of similarities there. And that had a correction. They had a little crash in that year, so there might be something coming up. Okay, in the coming months, I think we will have some kind of correction, which will be reversed by a change or pivot with the new Fed chair. They'll reverse it and they'll say like, "Whoopsie, we rather try to fix unemployment versus inflation." So there'll be a battle between the two sides, because you can't have both right now in this current situation of deglobalization. We are in a deglobalization event. Bonds will not perform well. Gold and silver and other materials will perform well in the coming decade. So we are structurally changing the way things operate. If China is prepared for war, Japan is egging them on, then yeah, they will start sucking up more resources, and that will keep commodity prices in a certain level. There'll be currency manipulation, and if there's too much currency manipulation, people will stop trusting the U.S. dollar more and more, and yeah, the global order will shift, okay, to something else. And yeah, there's a lot of similarities, definitely. All right, so yeah, we will definitely talk about that as we continue on. But if you want to discuss cycles, yeah, we've already talked about that before in this show. And yeah, that's astrology, so like I can pull up like this chart here. This is a cycle chart, and I'm using the foundation of the study of cycles. So I mentioned them before. You can go to they actually had a presentation an hour ago. You can watch it. They had a presentation. You can go there. I'll put the link in there. You go to the YouTube channel. You can watch their videos. They have a lot of old material way back when. You can see how they predicted Bitcoin moving and this and that. Very simple stuff. Well, it's not simple. It's kind of the way they do it is a little bit more complex than what most people will do. So this is the cycle so far. We have a 190-day cycle, an 82 cycle, and a 132 cycle. According to this, we should be going down now. I see now where the red line, this is a cyclic RSI indicator. So this is a cycle-based adjusted RSI indicator, relative strength indicator. Now the line is clearly about to crack, and we are headed into a downtrend into March. So I think we will have one fake out pump going into next week, if that's going to happen. If it does, then I would be looking for a great time to short going into tax season, okay? So going into April. And then from there, we can try to see how May works out, but it might be weak all the way through May, and we might not actually get anywhere until because this thing predicts that we should be going up into May, but that might change very rapidly once we see the shape of how April looks like, because I think once March and April come into alignment, these cycles might shift over, and we might actually only see a pump starting in July. So it will take a while before the Fed will act, right? Because we're transitioning between Jerome Powell into Matt Walsh. So it'll take a while before we see the the new policies that are coming from the Fed, and of course Japan as well. Japan, we'll see new legislation come through, and that'll change how people will view things. All right. All right, it's 1 hour 30 minutes. Please like and subscribe. Go to my channels if you're on the Urban Landlord. Please make sure you subscribe to Kick and YouTube on Give Crack to Me, because we never know, at any moment YouTube will yoink, will rug pull everything, and the only place you'll see it is on my own channels, and then we'll go from there. So this will be an interesting year for sure. A lot better than last year. Last year was very boring. You didn't need me to tell you what to do last year. Last year was basically buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. It goes up all the way into April and October. So from April all the way to October, November. And then from there, we got a little bit more interesting, okay, going into January. You see the end of the silver pump, the gold pump, and now we're going to see the ramifications of it. The Fire Horse will be an interesting year. Of course, yes, it will be a very interesting year. All right, I'll see you guys later. Maybe tomorrow if anything interesting. If not, then there's nothing to talk about. I won't show up for a while. But hopefully the football talk will give you something to think about. Because I think that's interesting. Because I'm going to get ready for World Cup now, man. World Cup. Let's see how those advertisers react. Advertising really runs the markets, man. Really runs the markets. Who do you advertise towards, right? And if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, what did you see? What did you see? You think that was aimed at white and black people, the old Americans? No, I don't think so. So, entering a new phase of the economy, guys. Later.